in the world. She is a communications tech professional. She's a video documentary artist. She does international workshops. She was the visionary for our video ministry here, and she most enjoys sharing diversity, belonging in the workplace, in her workshops. Well, without further ado, Kim Clark, let her.
I'm good here. Can we show her some love and gratitude for her first time stepping up in this role? Special thank you to Ginny on the audio, stepping into a new role as well. Thank you, video. Thank you, everybody who's been a part of this service. Thank you, thank you. Happy birthday, Etienne. Happy birthday 3 days ago to Gina Renee. See how well they're connected? They didn't even know that they were that connected. Y'all hear me okay? Is this volume okay? All right, great. So my name is Kim Clark, and as Sasha mentioned, I've been a student here of Reverend Deborah Johnson, who is not here today. But Sasha has a message from her that she'll share. Or I can share it now. You want me to share it now? I can share it now. Okay, we're just gonna ad-lib. We're just gonna go live here. Freestyle. Renegade. Renegade. All right. Oh, she sent me a heart. That's nice. Welcome, Dinner Light. This is from Reverend Deborah Johnson. She's the founding and lead minister here for you. If this is your first time, it's not normally me, it's Reverend Deborah Johnson. Thank you for blessing us with your presence today. Living is not a destination. Life is a journey. You could have been anywhere today and you are here. We are pleased to be sharing this moment of journey together with you today. Much gratitude to the Inner Light volunteers who last Wednesday assisted persons struggling with housing at Santa Cruz Project Homeless Connect event. Housing is a human right, not a perk or privilege. Thank you for supporting Inner Light with your time, talent, and financial treasures in our mission of empowerment. Enjoy our speaker, Kim Clark, today, and our musical inspiration, Gina Renee. You are in for a real treat. She said that, I didn't see it. It's true. And she ended it with namaste. So please come to another Sunday if it is your first time, and you'll get the pleasure of listening and learning from Reverend Deborah Johnson, my mentor over the last 15 years. So that song, Renegade, pulled me out of one of the deepest, darkest times of my life. The theme this month is wholeness, and the topic I chose today was wholeheartedness, based on the works of Dr. Brené Brown. Who's familiar with Brené Brown and wholeheartedness? Who is living a wholehearted life? Okay. I did put the definition in there, and we're going to revisit it, because it is not easy. That is a hard journey to take on. In 2014, I shared with you a couple of months ago when I was up here that it was the 5-year anniversary of the time that my son was overdosed on his medications by a caretaker and put in the ICU for 12 weeks at Lucille Packard Children's Hospital. He almost died. And I was already unhappy in lots of other areas of my life, pretty much every area of my life. And then that happened. And I took 6 months off of work to help him recover and to help me recover, because I knew I couldn't go back to that job. And in that 6 months, with all the doctors that I had to see, battling depression, one of the things that one of the doctors said was, you need green therapy every single day. You know what green therapy is? Get your ass outside and go for a walk. And we live between the redwoods and the beach, one of the most beautiful places on earth, I'd have to say. I feel incredibly blessed to live here. Come visit here if you're from Denmark, Tanzania. The invitation's open. So there's a hiking area behind the house that I was living in at the time, and so I would take advantage of that. During that time, Gina Renee had come up and done one of her songs here at Inner Light, and I resonated with her lyrics and her passion and her heart right away. I went and introduced myself to her back in the children's playground area, and I was really concerned that she was going to think I was some fanny, like just somebody else who's going to be like, oh my God, Gina Renee, oh my God. And I'm like, I'm a documentary filmmaker. I'm an adult. I was really trying to just don't be afraid of me. I can be your friend. I want to be your friend. I'm not some weirdo that's going to stalk you, okay? But I love your music, and I see you, and I hear you, and I see what you're doing and what you're doing, and I want you to keep doing it. Where can I buy your music? That was the conversation. You remember that? And so in my searching of her music and researching, I come across Renegade. And I just about lost my stuff because it was the right song at the right time. I had lost all ounces of dignity, confidence, self-worth at this time in my life. And that song, Renegade, was part of my therapy, my green therapy of going for a walk 1 to 2 to 5 times a day. And I would listen to it in my AirPods, and I'd be walking down this trail, and I found that my body position and my gait was changing as I listened to the song over and over and over again, and as I started to embody the lyrics. What that song did was giving my swagger back. I'd be walking down, the trail at first was just like, I'm a renegade, vanguard, okay, whatever. Oh, whatever, right? Kick a rock, But shortly, as I started to allow the song to seep into me, I started to remember who I am. I started to come home. Breathe with me. I'm a firstborn. I've been privileged and blessed my entire life that pretty much anything I do well. If I don't do it well, like ice skating, I just don't ever do it again. I'm educated. I'm self-made. I am self-made. The first to go and get a master's in my family, amongst the grandkids. I'm the first of a lot of things. And I don't take that for granted anymore. But I started to remember the blessings of my life. When I was listening to that song, after a while, walking down that trail, then it was just like, I wasn't kicking rocks, I was just like, I had swagger. I was just like, I'm a renegade, I'm a vanguard. Yes. And I had my confidence back because of your song. You spoke to me when I needed it. So this is a dream of mine. This was divine coincidence that I would be asked to speak when she's already scheduled to be the musical inspiration. I can't make this stuff up. This is God's story. And she allowed me to say, to kind of coax her on what the playlist was. And I really appreciate that. This was very meaningful to me. Be the Change and Renegade have altered my life. So know that your music matters. The The core of wholeheartedness is vulnerability. The 3 ingredients of wholeheartedness by Brené Brown is courage, compassion, and connection. So what I want to do with you guys today is to go through each of those 3 things, obviously not in depth. Each of them are a message unto themselves. But I want to share with you some things that have gone on with me personally that no one has seen before, that I have not shared. And then through each of those steps, then I want to share with you, as I was going through those things personally, what it was manifesting externally as. Because they're connected, and you would never know it unless I told you. So let's revisit the definition of wholeheartedness. Livestream doesn't get to see, all the rest of the service, so I'm going to reread it for them. Wholehearted living is about engaging with our lives from a place of worthiness. It means cultivating the courage, compassion, connection to wake up in the morning and think, no matter what gets done and how much is left undone, I am enough. It's going to bed at night thinking, yes, I am imperfect and vulnerable and sometimes afraid, but that doesn't change the truth that I am also brave and worthy of love and belonging. In your affirmations in the program today that you're taking home, and it's also on the website, the affirmations that are there are the 10 guideposts of wholehearted living that Brené Brown talks about in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. That's what the whole book is about. And these guideposts, I just rewrote them as affirmations. So these affirmations are completely the guideposts. I did add, I am a renegade in there. That was my free license to weave in there to honor Gina. So let's start with courage. Courage. Let me share with you the definition that Brené Brown talks about. The word courage is cor, the Latin word for heart. In one of its earliest forms, the word courage had a different definition than it does today. Courage originally meant to speak one's mind by telling all one's heart. That's very different than like the Game of Thrones courage, right? Over time, this definition has changed, and today courage is more synonymous with being heroic. Heroics is important, and we certainly need heroes, but I think we've lost touch with the idea that speaking honestly and openly about who we are, about what we're feeling, and about our experiences, good and bad, is the definition of courage. Heroics is often about putting our life on the line. Ordinary courage is about putting our vulnerability on the line. And in today's world, that's pretty extraordinary. And I couldn't agree more. I think about how courage can show up for us these days. Yes, there's the Game of Thrones heroics, that kind of courage, and that's often what comes to our mind first. There's also the kind of courage that we are being called to participate in if you're on BART and you see some harassment going on. It's called bystander intervention. There's trainings around this to help people who may be in really dangerous situations and there's no authority around. How can you be courageous in those moments to help somebody out and calm a situation? 2 examples of courage I'll share with you that I've experienced. One is on the personal level. I went through years of being abused, verbally and emotionally abused. So nobody could see bruises. Nobody saw any scars, no scabs, no hospital reports. But for over 10 years, I was verbally and emotionally abused. Me, this strong, confident firstborn, everything handed to her with such privilege. yeah, it can happen even to somebody like me. And if it can happen to any of us. And I'm trying to demonstrate vulnerability and courage in sharing my whole heart story with you. While that was going on, I went through lots of bouts of depression, as I shared. Then I took the time off. And then the Renegade song came into my life. Gina Renee came into my life. That swagger was not just a physical swagger. That resonated through my whole body in remembering who I am and bringing me home. I started to have the courage to remember who I am and why I am alive. That's a choir song talking about I had a revelation. I know why I'm alive. I know I am alive. I'm alive to be God's voice, His hands, her feet, His heart. The courage to stand in that while going through continual abuse is not easy. Vulnerability is not comfortable, but it is necessary. It is necessary to be a part of our own lives. I built a tribe around myself, and I continue to build this on top of this swagger and to get more and more courage to be myself, to be authentically me and tell my story. I couldn't have done this a year ago or 2 years ago. There's no way I could be up here. I'd be like a puddle. I'd just be like this mess. But I'm able to have the courage to share with you my whole story. Now that's going on in the background. Now externally, I had the guts, the courage, to go for a new job last year. And it was very Sheryl Sandberg, very lean in, where I went in and I said, I was authentic about who I am all through my interview process. And told them what I can do for them and how much they need me, right? And then it got to the point of the conversation around, okay, salary, all of that stuff. I asked for a higher title than what they were hiring for. That was courageous for me. Very courageous of me. And I was very nervous. Christy could tell you what it was like. And then I asked for it, and I said, and I would like the salary that is commensurate to that title. Whew, another courageous move for me. And I got it. I got it all. Yeah. Standing in my power personally allowed me to stand in my power professionally. Courage. And then there's compassion, the second ingredient to living a wholehearted life. Pema Chodron, you guys know American Buddhist leader? Powerful. In her book, The Places That Scare You, she writes, when we practice generating compassion, we can expect to experience the fear of our pain. That surprised me the first time I read it. When we practice generating compassion, we can expect to experience the fear of our pain. Compassion practice is daring. It involves learning to relax and allow ourselves to move gently toward what scares us. Relax and allow ourselves to move gently toward what scares us. Now, that relating to compassion was something I kind of had to wrestle with a little bit, because I think of compassion of like, oh, you're hurt. Oh, let me help you. Put a Band-Aid. Let me kiss it with my kids or something like that, right? But what I started to put together was compassion first was self-compassion. And I had to admit to myself that I was victimized by abuse. That was hard to do because it's a slow boil when it's verbal and emotional abuse. In my experience, it was a slow boil. Didn't see it coming. Didn't know it was happening. But I was totally disconnected to my friends and family. They had no idea what was going on. They had no idea whatsoever. So the first step I had to take was self-compassion and trusting back in myself. That was really hard for me to do, to admit to myself and then to admit to my tribe, my closest friends, that I had been abused. And then they said, now it all makes sense. They couldn't put their finger on it. But they saw it. They saw the effects of it. Now, I'm in this new job, and I'm learning a lot about employees. And what I do is internal communications. Now, that sounds like I just talk to myself a lot, but that happens too. But also, I'm just making sure that leaders and employees are all communicating, that they have ways, they have, there's forums, there's ways that everyone can be talking and everybody knows what's going on. There's a feedback loop, all that stuff, right? And I was learning in this new role at this company that I needed to have compassion for the employees who had been through an extremely rough time. And it was very public, and they were trying to heal from that. There was several segments of the population that felt marginalized and underrepresented. And then I had brand new leaders who were just trying to look good, feel like they're in control. They really don't know what's going on. And I'm walking in this new job like, hey, everybody. And I'm like, wow, this is a mess. Okay. But I had this unique opportunity to start bringing people together, to share to the leaders what was going on, especially with these more marginalized and underrepresented groups. And I could share with these groups and all of the employee population who these leaders are and to trust them. And I'm learning about them all at the same time. So I was trying to show that there's compassion that needs to be shared both ways. And I tried to role model that in a variety of different communication styles. So that's how personally I had self-compassion, because you can't give away what you don't have. I have to have my own self-compassion, compassion for myself in order to have compassion for others. Third, connection. Brené Brown defines connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued. Isn't that something that's really missing in our culture these days? Yes. You don't have to raise your hand, but you can if you want to. Did anyone feel super squishy around the affirmation that said, I am enough? Anyone have a hard time believing that? That's great. Honesty with ourselves is the first step, right? And it's okay, and it's unfortunately normal in our culture, specifically the US culture, that we have to deprogram and untrain. Connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. The first thing I had to do was reconnect to myself. Coming out of abuse, admitting to myself that I was being abused, I didn't stay on the victim, villain, hero triangle. I didn't stay there. I had every reason to. I could walk around and say, this is what's happening to me. Feel sorry for me. I could totally stay on the drama triangle and get all kinds of attention from you. I could totally do that. That's not authentic to who I am. I don't want to participate in the drama. I don't want to add drama on top of drama. I will not participate in the negativity. I will not participate in divisiveness. That is something that I stand on, that I'm committed to. because it's integrity that is driving me through all the change going on in my life. But I first, in order to get to this place of confidence and courage, is to reconnect with myself. Do I feel seen with myself? Do I feel heard? Am I listening to myself? Do I feel like I have value? I had to have a lot of conversations with myself to get to the point of like, okay, I'm starting to feel it now. Because I can't, even if I get it externally, how many celebrities do we know that get all the accolades and then they tank? External is not going to solve any problems when it's an internal problem. Last week, Rev D talked about how a narrative, our own narrative in our heads will happen no matter what. You remember that? And she said, you might as well design your own narrative. I started cracking up when she said that, because a lot of the talks that I do in the business world, I talk about culture. And I talk about how culture happens with or without us. And so it's in our best interest to manage the culture towards it being a great place to work and where we all want to be. And where people feel seen, heard, and valued. So I couldn't agree more with Rev D when she said that the narrative is going to happen with or without us, so we might as well design the narrative that we want. What is the narrative that we need right now? To reconnect to ourselves, to feel seen, heard, and valued. The next step, after I was able to work through of like, okay, I'm starting to feel my worthiness again. This is grace. This is what grace looks like and feels like. And I'm stepping into that. I am worthy. I am worthy of love and belonging. Brene Brown talks about after 200,000 pieces of data, in the absence of love and belonging is suffering. How do we tolerate that? You know what I struggle with? We were talking about those without homes here in our county. My 8-year-old daughter, seeing people pushing carts on the sidewalk and her asking me questions. And it got me to this point of like, how did I just participate in a society? Whoa, this is very powerful. How did I participate in a society? Am I doing something? I don't think so. Okay. How did I participate in a society that this was just normal? How did this happen? How did it get this bad? Connection. It was called Homeless Project Connect, right? Connection. Connection. Feeling seen, heard, and valued. Thank you to those who did the volunteering on Wednesday. Thank you for those who will continue to work with those without homes. And all those who are in this place where, even in our own homes, in our workplaces, in our schools, in our friend circle, we know somebody who does not feel seen, heard, or valued. It may be you. It might be me. And we won't know unless we have the courage to tell our own heart story. So at my work, I would totally, hopefully people aren't, I can just get farther from you, I guess. Hello, hello. Over here. Too much energy. So what I did with the workplace as I was going through my personal reconnection is that I was doing a lot of connecting within my workplace. I was having leaders sit with groups who felt unseen, unheard, and not valued. And I was getting them all together, and things were going super well. So here I am, going through this personal transformation. It is starting to show up externally as this amazing job and this amazing opportunity, and things are going very, very well. And then 2 months ago, I no longer have that job. Plot twist. Who am I without that job? I had a badass title, fantastic salary. I raised my giving to Inner Light. I'm a single mom with bills. I'm in divorce court right now. Court's in 2 days on Tuesday. Pray for me. It's been moved and moved and moved, and it looks like it'll actually happen on Tuesday. It's been pushed for 6 months, 4 times. So the anxiety, and then not have that job in the middle of it. Okay, God, either you have a plan or a sense of humor. I'm not sure which. I'm going to trust in the plan. I have a choice of how to respond and not having the big fancy high-tech job, managing a huge team, beautiful offices, perks like you wouldn't believe. I had it all, but I don't have it anymore. So who am I? What's left? Can I continue to live wholehearted even when things go away? Can I maintain courage, compassion, and connection? Well, that is my intent. That is my intent. And a big part of it is being willing to even share any of this with you. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. Christy can tell you, just like for the last month, I'm just like, I chose wholeheartedness. I know it's on Brene Brown's work, but from there, maybe I'll just read the book. No idea. But then it came through that I needed to, for my own healing, because I've told you before, you guys are part of my healing. And I hope I'm a part of your healing. I hope there's something that has been said and shared today through the music, the affirmations, the reading, the announcements, through this talk that has resonated with you. That makes you just a little bit different person than when you walked in today. Because that's what this place does for me. I'm going to take a little bit of a different career move, and I'm going to focus more on diversity, inclusion, and belonging from a communication standpoint. It is really needed because you know what? There's only one of us here. And business has the biggest opportunity to eradicate a lot of societal problems like racism, because most of the population shows up for work to get a paycheck, and you got to show up and work together in order to get that paycheck. Honoring differences, celebrating them, bringing everybody to the table so everyone can feel heard, seen, valued. Brene Brown talks about if you go into grief, sadness, anger, like this much, this is all that you're allowing yourself to lean into joy. It's a relationship. So if you allow yourself, like what Rev D talks about, to feel, deal, and heal anger, pain, frustration, confusion, whatever it is that you may be going through right now, and you go into it, you look into that darkness, you allow yourself to be there and feel it. Don't let it go sideways. Don't start blaming and kicking the dog and all that kind of stuff, right? Deal with it. Feel it first. Deal with it so you can heal from it. Please. Because you go in this deep on that, guess what you get? It's a relationship. Invest in the valley so you can get to the mountaintop. That's something I know for sure. I'll end on this. The wholehearted journey is not the path of least resistance. Sorry. It's a path of consciousness and choice. Rev D talked about being consciously aware last week. I put it in the affirmations intentionally. Consciously aware. And it's a choice. And to be honest, it's a little counterculture. Renegade. The willingness to tell our stories, feel the pain of others, and stay genuinely connected in this disconnected world is not something we can do half-heartedly. To practice courage, which is sharing our stories, compassion, feeling the pain of others and ourselves, and connection, to stay genuinely connected, is to look at life and the people around us and say, I'm all in. Say it with me. I'm all in. Use the 10 guideposts. Either look them up online, get the book, use these affirmations. But for the love of God and for the love of yourselves, allow yourself this opportunity to live a wholehearted life. And it takes courage. It takes compassion. And it takes connection. Are you in? Yes. All in. Let's go into prayer. You gonna chant? Oh, Gina, thank you. Oh, this is a bonus. Let's take a deep breath. Make sure your feet are deep on the ground so you feel grounded, stable. Some people like to stand to feel in their power. Do what you need to do so you can tap in. And remember who you are. You are made in the image and likeness of the universe. You are beautiful. You are perfect, whole, and complete. And don't listen to anything anyone else says that's different from that. This is your story. This is your narrative that is divinely guided. All you have to do is allow it. It's your choice. I am praying this day for courage. Even in the midst, when I feel like I got nothing left. I'm stuck. I can't see the light. I don't know how to get out of this. I remember those days of feeling trapped. You might be in it right now. You don't know which way is up. Just know that you're okay. And courage can come in small but meaningful ways. Take the step. Say the affirmations. Say a prayer. Start writing what you're grateful for every day in a journal. Shift your energy just by saying thank you for something, anything. Thank you for the fingers on my hands. Thank you for the air that I breathe. Thank you for this community. Thank you that I am alive today. And may we practice self-compassion, that we only give away what we have. That's not something that we can fake until we make it. It's got to be real. People can smell inauthenticity in a second. have compassion on yourself. You've been through a lot. You're going through a lot. And you're going to be okay. God's got you. This community, we got you. We're committed to connecting to ourselves, feeling our own heartbeat. If you need to do that right now, just put your hand on your heart and remember that you are alive.
You are alive.
And what a blessing that is.
What a blessing.
Say, thank you, God.
Thank you.
I am alive.
Thank you. I'm alive.
I have another day. I have another hour. I have some more air to breathe. Healing and love. May I choose my words carefully. That I do not use words for hurt. I use words for healing. It's my choice, and I choose love. I know I am imperfect and afraid. I am also brave and worthy of love and belonging. And that love and belonging starts with myself. Because I know, God, you've never changed. You've never altered. You've always loved and made me feel like I belonged, that I am yours. You've never stopped. I've just cut it off. And I forgive myself of that. And I forgive others that they may forget who they are. And I forgive myself when I forget who I am. And I want to come home, God. I want to come home. May we come home today.
Let's come home.
And every day we need to remind ourselves that there is a home. We have a home. Maybe it's not physical, but it is spiritual, and it's always open and available. Thank you for these gifts, these blessings, for the people who are here today. Thank you for Gina Renee and the music that you pour through her. May more people hear her by hearing you through her. Thank you for these musicians. Thank you for everyone in this community. Thank you for Reverend Deborah and her vision of the Inner Light community. Just say thank you with me, nice and loud, like you believe it. Thank you. This is good. It is done. And we allow it to be. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you so much for holding space today.